أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون. ولتكن منكم أمة يدعون إلى الخير ويأمرون بالمعروف وينهون عن المنكر وأولئك هم المفلحون. ولا تكونوا كالذين تفرقوا واختلفوا من بعد ما جاءهم البينات وأولئك أولئك لهم عذاب عظيم يوم تبيض وجوه وتسود وجوه فأما الذين اسودت وجوههم أكفرتم بعد إيمانكم فذوقوا العذاب بما كنتم تكفرون وأما الذين ابيضت وجوههم ففي رحمة الله هم فيها خالدون تلك آيات الله نتلوها عليك بالحق وما الله يريد ظلما للعالمين ولله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإلى الله ترجع الأمور بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اركعوا واسجدوا واعبدوا ربكم وافعلوا الخير لعلكم تفلحون وجاهدوا في الله حق جهاده وجاهدوا في الله حق جهاده هو اجتباكم وما جعل عليكم في الدين من حرج ملة أبيكم إبراهيم سماكم المسلمين من قبل وفي هذا ليكون الرسول شهيدا عليكم وتكونوا شهداء على الناس فأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة واعتصموا بالله فأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة واعتصموا بالله هو مولاكم فنعم المولى ونعم النصير واعتصموا بالله هو مولاكم فنعم المولى ونعم النصير صدق الله العظيم الفاتحة
Ayasofya-i Kebir Camii Şerifi İmam Hatibi.
We would like to thank Mr. Benjamin Topçuoğlu, Imam of Ayasofya Mosque, for his beautiful recitement. Now, distinguished speaker of Turkish Grand National Assembly, dear guests, while starting our program, I would like to invite all of you a moment of silence for our martyrs who has fallen, and after that we will have our national anthem. Thank you.
Biz kimiz?
Who are we? Are we just a crowd? Or are we the history itself? Now, maybe are we the headache of the global powers? Or are we the burden on the shoulders of this geography? So are we a society or community who doesn't know its value? Or are we the other, just a crowd in the eyes of the others? So I can say no, no, thousands of times, no. We are actually the people of and the reality of this geography, reality of this lands, reality of this civilization. So who are we? We need to refresh our memories and our place in the hearts. Now the Muslim communities are also asking themselves, who are we? So we are talking about a conscious solidarity. In order to understand and realize the current situation, we need to ask ourselves with this seeking, with this understanding, and under the theme of knowledge, will, and understanding, with the pioneers of Islamic world, we are all together in this forum. And distinguished guests, dear participants, now I would like to give the floor to one of our distinguished speakers, who is actually the pioneer of this forum, lawyer Rıza Yorulmaz, the General President of Cihan Numa Foundation. I would like to invite you, Mr. Rıza Bey, to the floor to extend your speech. It is 13th of December 2024. Our fire at our hearts is still going on. It is 433rd days in Gaza. So I would like to extend my condolences to all of our martyrs. Distinguished Speaker of Turkish Grand National Assembly, dear protocol members, esteemed representatives of NGOs, and dear guests coming from abroad, dear guests from our institutions, ladies, gentlemen, distinguished youth. For a fair, just, and merciful world, we organized this forum for the contribution of a just world, and I would like to extend my thanks to each and every one of you for your presence in our forum. Distinguished President, now we have the crisis of civilization for the last 200 years. We are under the hegemony. They are trying to make us dependent to them, and that it is an order of colonialism, and they cheat us, and they are trying to take all of us and direct all of us to this chaos. And for long years, with the slavery, with the colonialism, and with all of this conflict, we still remember all of this. Only in 20th century, only 200 million people lost their lives due to the wars triggered by the Western powers. 10% of the world's population, with about 200 million of people, now live under the poverty line. So the West, we see that nobody can prevent this. Now we see that the world is smaller than two, and we all know that it violence, you cannot achieve anything. If it is the darkest point of the night, so you're close, we will be able to find a way to get out of this cruelty, this violence of the West. The West is not only trying to have these problems, but they're also disrupting the family life, the social order, and they are destroying their own humanity. But we need to reach our welfare, our peace and dignity. And in order to do that, as Gaudi said, the French philosopher said that if you like your future, you should know that the Western civilization has gone bankruptcy. So if you continue to follow this Western civilization, then it is like committing a suicide. But of course, we can find solutions with Islamic philosophy, with our civilizations. We established different civilizations and we set an example for the dignity. And even Israelis came to these territories, these lands, to seek refugees. These lands are the guardians of peace and security and safety. So if you have love your hearts, as you remember the words of Sezai Karakoç, which are uttered for these lands, for these geographies. And now, unfortunately, with the Ummah of Islam, we will achieve again. I'm not just talking about this for the cruelty or for these issues, but you see that in Syria now a new era full of hope has just started with the collapse of Assad, and we see that they will try to plan these areas, these geographies according to their own wills, but we will not let them do so. We have this burden on our shoulders and we will follow that. Our responsibilities are not limited to Syria, but we will have the responsibility in all Middle East, in all geographies, and we will continue our path of civilization, and we will have a new world ideal and a livable Turkey. And I sincerely believe that we will be able to reach our two goals, and we will be able to succeed, and we were able to realize our goals even though the others try to block us. But we have this new vision, this new target, and with the goal of our president, Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, he announced that the century of Turkey is important for us. So it is a milestone for us. We will continue our path. We will continue to look for the future, for the century of Turkey. And we need to have wahda, we need to have the unity among the Muslim communities. And in order to achieve these, we need to love each other. As it is ordered in Hadith, you should not ignore ourselves. You should not ignore the other Muslim people. You should keep an eye on each other. You should have trade among yourselves so that you will be able to establish welfare, and you will be able to get richer altogether, and you will be able to contribute a fairer world, and a world where you can live in love. If you love the people, the ummah, your Muslim brothers, in the name of Allah, then you will succeed. If you love your brothers in the name of Allah, then it means that you love Allah Almighty. So we will love, and we love all the Muslim people in the name of Allah. And we do this in our foundation, and we feed all of our activities and procedures in the name of Allah. Distinguished President, dear guests, as Cihan Numa Foundation, we set up our principles in the light of a fair world, and we will follow our path we will continue to fight, and with our brothers and sisters. We will not surrender. We will continue with our energy, with our civilization, and we have all the basis for the achievements. And we will be able to determine our future all together in Sarajevo, in Skopje, in Baghdad, in Beirut, in Yemen, in Cairo, in Al-Quds, in Istanbul. We see the names of these holy cities in the verses of different poets, in our libraries, in our madrasa, in our schools, in our universities. And with this historical accumulation, we will continue to flourish as the guardians of the civilizations. And with this accumulation of knowledge, we have the huge responsibility on our shoulders. Even though the era changes, our responsibility has not changed. We will continue to address these solutions and come up with different outcomes for our world and for humanity with our consciousness. And Cihan Yuma Foundation will continue to address these problems, these challenges, because we see the sorrow of our people, and we will continue to share this sadness, and we will continue to heal the wounds of these people, because every word is like a bullet. So our words are important, and our words are important for our future, and we said it for our nerves, and we said that this is important for our reality. Without yelling, without screaming, we will continue to say our words, and for the benefit of our people, for the benefit of Ummah. And we have Cihan Yuma magazine. It's in the 17th edition right now, and in every 6 months we also have different magazine, different journal about international relations, and we have the 5th edition right now. We continue to follow our academic and intellectual accumulation, and we will continue to do our symposiums, our conferences, and we are sharing all of these solutions that we come up with the stakeholders. We also organized a workshop on migration in Gaziantep, and we have organized 6 symposiums so far. And we believe that we also have different commemoration programs, and we actually shorten the distance. We bring the hearts together in these programs, and we try to share the accumulation of Cihan Yuma Foundation with Turkey's accumulation of different knowledge and the different civilizations. So, with this meaningful program, Istanbul Forum program, we have all gathered here today in Istanbul, and we are looking for solutions, and we are looking for meanings in this program, and we will touch upon the challenges of Ummah and Islamic world, and we will continue our solidarity. We will be able to exchange our ideas. So this is the product of our program today. This will be the outcome of our product today, and we are going to establish our roadmap with the solutions that we will find. So actually this program was the program that we dreamed of, and for the last 2 years we have been working for this program day and night. And this is the first edition of our program. Of course, there might be some shortages, or there might be some lackings in our program, but we will try to find better ways to follow up our solutions. And you are all here today, and you share our joy, you share our enthusiasm, and our hall is now full. There are many guests coming from all around the world, and so it is very important for us to have you here. We have hopes, we have ideals, and we have dreams, and we will show that, we will see that the world is bigger than two. And we believe that all the people living in the world should have the dignity and should have the rights, and this is our dream and this is our responsibility, and we will share this responsibility all together. So I extend my thanks to each and every one of you while ending my verse. Dear guests, distinguished speaker, distinguished president, Mr. Şenel Kızılca, the organizer of our program, I would like to thank him. I would like to thank Mr. Ahmet Köroğlu, and I would like to thank our executive board, our Istanbul branch, and all of our heroes for contributing to the actualization of this program. And once again, I would like to thank the speaker of our Turkish Grand National Assembly, Mr. Numan Kurtulmuş, for his presence. And dear participants, I would like to extend my gratitude to each and every one of you once again for being here. And I hope that our path will be opened. And once again, I hope that this program will be auspicious for all of us. Thank you very much for your patience.
Numan Derneği
We would like to thank Mr. Rıza Yorulmaz, the General President of Numan Foundation. Distinguished speaker, dear guests, there are many people coming from different geographies of the world. We also have many pioneers of different geographies. We have Mr. Dr. Mehdi Ibrahim, the former ambassador, and he is coming from Sudan. He will speak in Arabic. Thank you. With your applause, I invite him to the floor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Elhamdülillah. Esselatu vesselamu ala Resulillah. بودي أن أحيي كل واحد وواحدة منكم هذا الصباح في هذه الجامعة الفتية، وأنتم تجتمعون من شتى أنحاء العالم الإسلامي نحو هدف جليل يستحق أن ينهض له المسلمون من كل مكان. نحن اليوم نواجه تحديات جليلة. هذه التحديات واحد من أهم أسبابها إسقاط الخلافة الإسلامية التركية العثمانية التي اعتاد الغرب أن يسميها The Ottoman Empire، ينزع عنها صفة الإسلام. منذ سقوط الخلافة تيتم العالم الإسلامي وفقد الغطاء والأمان والحصن الذي كان يحميه، فتصدى الغرب يمزق الجسم الإسلامي عرقيا وقبليا ودينيا وطائفيا، حتى صارت حالنا هذه الحالة التي نشتكي منها اليوم. نحن اليوم في أضعف حالتنا، يعمنا هذا الظلام. ولقد وصف النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام هذه الحال: يوشك أن تداعى عليكم الأمم كما تداعى الأكلة على قصعته. قالوا: أمن قلة نحن يومئذ يا رسول الله؟ قال: كلا، إنكم كثر ولكنكم غثاء كغثاء السيل. نحن اليوم في حال يصدق فيها الكاذب ويكذب فيها الصادق، ويخون فيها الأمين ويؤتمن فيها الخائن. يعمنا هذا الظلام، ولكن بفضل هذه الجهود التي نرى إخواننا هنا في تركيا، تركيا ماضيا وتركيا حاضر وتركيا مستقبلا، يحاولون أن يسعفوا العالم الإسلامي بأن يجتمعوا في مثل هذا اللقاء، يجددوا الأمل، يبنوا رؤية استراتيجية، يحددوا الأهداف المرحلية، يوزعوا الأدوار، يعملون مجتمعين من أجل أن نحدث هذا التغيير الكبير. إخواني وأخواتي وأبنائي وبناتي، أصدقكم القول أني جئت إليكم في هذه المناسبة وأنا أحمل أملا عظيما بأننا سنخرج من هذه المحنة، سنخرج منها أقوياء، وسنخرج منها صفا واحدا، وسنخرج منها منتصرين. ذلك أن طوفان الأقصى الذي حدث غير كل المعادلات التي ترونها كانت سائدة في هذه المنطقة، زلزل كل الثوابت التي ترونها، فضح العالم الغربي أمام كل شعوب العالم وأمام شعوبه وطلابه وأبنائه وبناته. انكشف الزيف. نحن الآن بين يدي طوفان الأقصى، وترون التغييرات بدأت في سوريا الآن وستمضي إن شاء الله تباعا. ليس ذلك رجما بالغيب، ولكن ذلك من وعد النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام: إن الله ليبعث لهذه الأمة على رأس كل 100 من يجدد لها أمر دينها. لقد انتهت 100 منذ سقوط الخلافة الإسلامية بأحزانها وبانكساراتها وبهزائمها وبإحباطاتها، ولكننا اليوم نستقبل مرحلة جديدة كما وعد الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام. ولكن الوعد القرآني الذي أختم به هذه الكلمات، الوعد القرآني العظيم، وهو ينظر في واقعنا هذا. قد أحكم الغرب هيمنته علينا، وأحكمت إسرائيل هيمنتها على حكوماتنا وعلى جيوشنا، وأصبحت الشعوب مكبلة عاجزة عن أن تمضي نحو مرادها. هذا الواقع القرآن الكريم يبشرنا فيه، ونريد أن نمن على الذين استضعفوا في الأرض ونجعلهم أئمة ونجعلهم الوارثين ونمكن لهم في الأرض ونري فرعون وهامان وجنودهما منهم ما كانوا يحذرون. هذه بشرى أعظم من أن نسكت عليها، هذه بشرى ينبغي أن نشيعها، وهذه بشرى ينبغي أن تشيع فينا جميعا حتى نخرج من وطأة الانكسارات والهزائم ونستقبل هذا الوعد الإلهي العظيم. أقول قولي هذا وسلامي وصلاة الله عليكم.
Doktor Mehdi.
The President of the European Assembly of Muslims, Mr. Abdullah Mansur, will take the floor now.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله، الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. أيها الجمع الكريم، أنا كنت في المستشفى في باريس بعد حادث سيارة، وصلتني هذه الدعوة الكريمة وبعد هذا المؤتمر سأعود إلى المستشفى إن شاء الله. لماذا قدمت إليكم من المستشفى؟ لو كنت خارج العالم وأعمل خطأ من هنا إلى هنا سوف تكون نقطة في مكان، ولكن لو أخذت في دائرة، وقارة آسيا في دائرة، وقارة إفريقيا في دائرة، سوف تلتقي الدوائر الثلاث في إسطنبول. سوف يلتقي العالم في تركيا. تركيا من الناحية الجغرافية هي وسط العالم، ولذلك الله سبحانه وتعالى عندما نجى نوح نجاه أين؟ نجاه في تركيا. وقامت تركيا بدورها الرائد في حفظ الإسلام والمسلمين لمدة قرون عديدة، 6 قرون، ولكنها تخلفت قليلا. لما وصلتني الدعوة قلت هذه بشرى. نحن في الحركة الإسلامية في أوروبا يجب أن نكون مع تركيا الجسر الذي تعود عبره الحضارة الإسلامية لإنقاذ الإنسانية المريضة. والله أرى في أوروبا كل يوم 350 إلى 400 أوروبي يدخلون في الإسلام. الإنسانية تنتظر الإسلام، الإنسانية تنتظر رجوع هذه الحضارة حتى تسعدها. وقد تكلم سعادة السفير عن أمراض التي ساهم الغرب فيها. نحن عندنا الدواء، نحن عندنا الوسيلة، نحن عندنا التجربة. فإذا وضعت هذه يدها في يد الحركات الإسلامية في العالم فإننا بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى سوف نسعد الناس جميعا. وقد بدأ هذا من سنوات، ولكن تسارع الأمر بعدما حصل في غزة. غزة سوف تغير الجغرافيا وتغير التاريخ وتغير أنظمة العالم. الكرامة والحضارة والعدالة هو أنتم في مؤتمر
Thank you very much for your remarks. Distinguished guests, the chairman of the Turkish National Assembly, Dr. Numan Kurtulmuş, will now take the floor to deliver his opening remarks.
Çok değerli dava arkadaşlarım, saygıdeğer hanımefendiler, değerli misafirler, hepinize hoş geldiniz, sefalar getirdiniz diyorum. Bugün burada İstanbul Forum'da bizlere ev sahipliği yapan Cihan Derneği'ne, değerli yöneticilerine ve bu uluslararası forumun
And the organizers of this international forum who have brought us together. I hope that this symposium will be successful and the ideas that we put forward here will help us gain useful ideas about the future of the Muslims of the world. First of all, we are all aware that the world is going through a very challenging time. We are in an era where we witness many things coming to being, and globally speaking, we are at the verge of very important developments. In this framework, we need to have a very good understanding of the future developments and prepare our own plans for that. So I believe that it is not a coincidence that the meeting, this summit, is based on the principles of knowledge, will, and vision, because you need a very deep understanding and a very strong will, a very good vision to make our objectives come true, and we need to have a very good and strong order on which we will implement these plans. I would like to thank the organizers. The world is going towards a very important era. Very recently we have witnessed two important turning points in the history. The first one was the end of the Cold War, which was symbolized by the fall of the Wall of Berlin. The second one was the establishment of a new order in the world with the collapse of the Soviet Union. The 45-year-old war came to an end with the collapse of the Wall of Berlin. And afterwards, we saw a time when the US thought it was instating a new order and ruling the whole world on its own. But it was not an order, it was a lack of order. It was a global lack of order, which was also clearly shown by every development we have witnessed. And this era came to an end 2 years ago, in 2022, when the US suddenly withdrew troops from Afghanistan. And we saw people trying to get on planes, piling on staircases. And at the same time, we saw that the global order, the global system, which was thought to be perfect, was no longer standing on its feet. From now on, a new world will be built. How this new world will shape will be decided by those who have the knowledge, the will, and the plan for a new order. We still don't know how the new world will be shaped, but there is something very clear. From now on, we will not have a bipolar or a monopolar world that is ruled by a country or a territory. To the contrary, we will have a multipolar, a multi-centered new world. And we will all see that, inshallah. And in this process, in all this multipolar system, some countries of the world will become much more important. We are already witnessing that. And one of these countries is, without doubt, Turkey, our country. So before us, we have a very important period, both for the future of our country and for the future of humanity. It's just up to us to take this opportunity. We need to say our words strongly and for the benefit of all humanity. Opportunity, we will be working very hard for this objective. Also, with the transition to this multipolar system, we will also have alternative paradigms and ideas to offer solutions to the problems that we are faced with now. For example, the wars, conflicts, global migration, and poverty, which are actually intertwined problems, cannot be solved with temporary political remedies. These three problems are very important political developments that are crucial for all parts of the world. But just like we need a new global order, we need a renewed perspective, a humanitarian perspective to address these issues. And also the global warming and the climate change, which are very important problems for all parts of the world, cannot be seen as an outcome of bad practices in one sector, but it's the outcome of an understanding of a world and a civilization. To eliminate these problems, we need to implement alternative actions. And today, one of the most fundamental problems of the humanity is the erosion of values. The shared, universal, humanitarian values that have been developed throughout centuries, like human rights, women's rights, children's rights, sovereignty of nations, equality of people, and other humanitarian principles have been destroyed, and they have lost their value. So in the future, all of these values should be reproduced and rebuilt and re-demonstrated for the benefit of the whole humanity. As the previous speakers mentioned, historically, this responsibility lies with the people of Turkey. It lies with us, it lies with you. In this framework, without further ado, I would like to highlight 5 important issues that are quite relevant for the future problems that we are about to face. We need to see these problems very clearly, because this is not just a problem of a If we try to list the problems of the world on a piece of paper, we see that they are all global problems and they are all relevant for the whole humanity. And the solution of these problems will come through a new era of fight with a new perspective. Let me share these 5 crucial issues with you. The fight we have to give in the world will be between those who respect the humanitarian values and those who disregard them or who just use these values rhetorically. Fight will be seen all over the world, from the US to France, the UK, to the from Islamic countries to Africa. There will be a fight between those who uphold these values and those who ignore these values. So the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is a very strong declaration with a very strong wording of the human rights. But does it have any value? Is it actually implemented? And particularly those who talk the most about human rights, those who hide behind this declaration, violate the very essence of this declaration. And we see numerous examples of those violations every day. For example, the atrocities and one of the biggest genocides in the history of mankind, which is perpetrated by the gang of Netanyahu in Gaza, is only possible because of the support given by those who hide themselves behind this Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So from now on, those who sincerely uphold these values and who strengthen these values, and those who hide behind these values. And we will have this fight all over the world. And we need to prepare for this fight with a strong knowledge base. And we need to uphold these values for all beings that have been created for Allah. This is our historical responsibility. In the future, the second area of struggle will be the struggle between justice and atrocity. Those who uphold justice, even those who support justice, even when it means the decisions will be against themselves, will be fighting against those who perpetrate or support the perpetrators of atrocities. Just like with the values, we will see this fight in all parts of the world, in all atmospheres, and this struggle will continue in a very strong way. Will be between is one of the most important struggles of all nations, but those of dollars out of drug trafficking use conflicts and political instability in some parts of the world to fuel their money they get from this drug trafficking. And the nations, tribes, communities, and neighboring countries are made into enemies, and they are used as proxies in proxy wars for the other countries. We know that the weapons, which are worth tens of billions of dollars, are manufactured by specific actors who actually benefit from this lack of a system. So regardless of their religion, nation, or political view, those who would like to speak out for the good of the humanity will be struggling to instate a global order. The difference between having a system and the lack of a system is better understood today, because I would like to give an example from Gaza. Despite more than 50,000 people having killed, although the majority of the UN member nations oppose the atrocities of Israel, the current system that we have in the world actually creates a situation where we have a lack of a system, and this is why this atrocity and massacre continues. To stop that, we need to stop this, we voice our opposition, our views, and our solutions, and our idea that the world is bigger than five at every platform, because any global system that is not based on the equality of nations cannot bring permanent peace in the world. So in the next decades to come, one of the most important areas of struggle will be between those who fight to create a fair system and those who benefit from the lack of a system. Some gentlemen are reluctant to have a reform at the UN because they have the veto right, and they can stop any action that will stop injustice in the world, and they are enjoying that right. They are reluctant to do that because when it comes to us, all they talk about is international law and international justice, but they do not do anything to create an internationally fair system. So one of the most fundamental issues and areas of struggle for us will be the fight between those who support a fair system and those who support the lack of a system. And believe me, you will see in the next period, these 4 or 5 issues will be very important to shape the future of the world politics. Another important area of struggle is the fight against inclusion and exclusion. Those who are inclusive without discrimination of identities, ethnic origins, sects, or religious views, or political views, and bring them together who feel differences, communities. So one of the biggest tests that we will have in the Islamic territories is this question of Syria. After 60 years of dictatorship, the Ba'ath regime has come to an end, a regime that excludes all groups of the society except for members of its dynasty. And after 60 years, this regime has been ended with the will of the people of Syria. Now the Syrian opposition has taken over Damascus, and they are building a new order in Damascus. Our hope is that the Syrian people will be brought together in an inclusive way, since they have been excluded from many things so far. So we want to keep them together with an inclusive political perspective and help them fight for a shared future. In this framework, in the future, one of the biggest tests for the world will be the fight between democracy and autocracy. All around the world, those who uphold democracy, who defend democracy, and those who just abuse democracy, or those who support autocracy, will have a big war. I will say this in parentheses. I don't want to name any names, but both in Islamic countries, in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, those who support the dictators, who support autocratic regimes, who support them in all domains, we know who they were. And at times they try to teach everyone about democracy. And we have seen that their closest allies have been the dictators, and they have supported all actions that would keep those dictators in their places. So starting from the Islamic countries, we will be building the future only through our fight in the 5 domains, part holding democracy against autocracy. And we should not forget that that was also an issue that was recommended by Allah. I would like to emphasize that we are all familiar with the political movements in Islamic countries. Some of these political movements completely exclude Islamic values or disregard them, and they undermine the beliefs of their communities. They are detached from their communities. Or some of them have the word Islam in their names, but they do not have anything to do with inclusiveness or equality, and they don't see themselves in the concept of Islam. In the Islamic tradition, the Muslim regions and our culture has been successfully integrated with democracy. I think Turkey is the only country that has achieved this, and it has to continue being a model in this area. Inshallah, these 5 issues will be seen as an important area of work for us in shaping the future of Muslim territories. We need to cover our gaps, and we need to have better collaboration between Muslim countries to do this. And beyond that, we need to come up with our global proposals. I would like to reiterate this. We have to intensify our efforts to build a new order on the basis of the principles of Islam, and to instate justice, not only in courts, but also in the whole society. And we need to enrich our inclusive ideas without excluding anyone. We need to strengthen our inclusive understanding, and we need to strengthen our democracy. So I hope that in the future we will have the opportunity to say our words very strongly. And this is not just an opportunity, this is actually a historic responsibility. Everything shows that we need to be optimistic about the things that are happening. From the moment that the events in Gaza started, all people of Turkey stood with the people of Palestine, our people, our nation, our president, and all our institutions have been supporting this cause. And some other countries are not so lucky. Their governments do not speak up against the war in Gaza. And in some countries, speaking against the atrocities in Gaza is forbidden. But despite that, from day one, particularly in Western countries, although they have pro-Israeli governments, although some of them are even more pro-Israeli than the actual Israeli government, tens of thousands of people or even millions of people went to the streets to support the cause of Palestine. I have been saying this for days. Beware, the front of humanity is being built because by its nature, the humankind support justice, they support the oppressed, and all around the world. Regardless of their religion, faith, their ethnic origins, millions of people went out on the streets to defend Palestine and to support the creation of a fair system. If we didn't have this fight, if we didn't have this front of humanity, believe me, the International Court of Justice verdicts would not come out. These verdicts, without doubt, were the outcomes of this determined spirit of solidarity shown by these people. Because we say these verdicts were issued by these judges, but probably they came under a huge pressure from different governments. But despite that, they issued those verdicts, and it was not an easy job. So behind that, we had the determined stance of the front of humanity. Yes, we have a very grim picture in Gaza. More than 50,000 martyrs, a very serious genocide that is unprecedented in history, but there is still, the door is still ajar to make us more optimistic. Now the front of humanity has to show a stronger solidarity and to continue its surge on the basis of these principles all around the world. As I conclude my remarks, with this fight for liberation, we will see the start of a new era. These are the better days of the Israeli government, because even worse days are waiting for the Israeli government. Because the conscience of humanity is not easy to take action, but when it does, it will not stop until it achieves justice. So the conscience of humanity has taken action, and we are seeing the results. And the process that will follow will be more difficult for them. And the process to follow will be more promising for the cause of Palestine. Both politically and culturally, the cause of Palestine will yield new fruits, and hopefully the cause of Palestine will be defended more strongly in the future. And an independent state of Palestine with its capital in Al-Quds, with the borders of the 1967, will be achieved very soon. Now, it's our turn to speak up. As the children of this civilization, we have to demonstrate, we have to speak the word of justice to the world, and hopefully in the future we will be working very hard to build a new world. May Allah help us speak our word. May Allah help us on our way. May Allah help us build strong friendships. May Allah give us a bright future. I would like to greet you respectfully. I entrust you with Allah.
Gazi Meclisimizin Başkanı Sayın Profesör
We would like to thank Mr. Numan Kurtulmuş, the Speaker of our Veteran National Assembly. Now I would like to invite Mr. Rıza Yorulmaz, the General President of Cihan Numan Foundation, to present the plaque.
ve kıymetli protokolü hep birlikte.
Now, I would like to invite the protocol to have a family photo.
Evet. Değerli misafirlerimize çok
Dear guests, thank you very much. Professor Dr. Numan Kurtulmuş, the chairman of Turkish Grand National Assembly, will leave the hall due to his commitments. We see of our speaker, and we will continue with our program.